Here's another old familiar interpreter. This is letrec with use before initialization error. We implemented this interpreter using normal eager Shplait, and all the tests pass right now. If we switch over to lazy Shplait and run the tests, we find that some of them don't pass. Okay, we've got two checks failed with use before initialization. So in this first one, the program says letrec x is equal to 5, and then x plus x. So something is happening when we reference the first x, it's unbound. If we scroll up, we can see exactly where the problem is. We have an unused set box expression. The trouble is that our letrec case was relying on side effects to update the environment. But now that we're in lazy Shplait, since nothing is asking for the value of the set box expression, the set box never gets evaluated. It's unused work as far as lazy Shplait can tell. And so the side effect that our interpreter was depending on never actually happens, and the environment never gets updated the way we need it to. So we can't just take our letrec with use before initialization errors and turn that into lazy Shplait and have everything work out. There's a problem here because that interpreter relied on a side effect. And in particular, the set box was never used. It's really a lot of trouble to try to force the interpreter to use the value of the set box expression. Again, because laziness and state are really a bad match. We need some other way to encode recursion. But thankfully, we already know another way. And it turns out we can go back to our metacircular interpreter, and in lazy Shplait, we can write exactly what we wanted to in the beginning. To interpret a letrec expression, we bind recursively a new environment, and we get that by extending the current environment with a new binding that has n as the name and the result of interpreting the right-hand side in that same new environment. In eager Shplait, this would give us a use before initialization error because we're using new environment on the right-hand side before we're fully defining it. But in lazy Shplait, that's no problem because nobody's depending on the value of that interp call quite just yet. So this case all works out using lazy Shplait, and this is what we need to get a lazy use before initialization interpreter. And this is very cool on one hand, but now we're relying even more on Splait's laziness to implement laziness for Mo, and that's a problem on the other hand for learning. So next up, we're going to take one step further back and implement a lazy Mo interpreter using the eager variant of Shplait.